When The Matrix released in 1999, it didn't just redefine sci-fi, it changed cinema forever. Philosophical themes, cyberpunk aesthetics, it was revolutionary. But what happened? Hello everyone and welcome back to AustinPlus commentary, where today we are back with another video about discussing what happened to the Matrix franchise. Now, I have recently just done a rerun of The Matrix, and I was just like, what happened to it? It was very baffling, so I thought I'd create a whole video revolving around something I had literally just watched and I was bored. So, without further ado, let's get into it. First of all, the original Matrix really worked, but we actually have to understand why it worked and why it later down the line just kind of went a bit ugh. The original Matrix succeeded because it blended groundbreaking visuals with deep philosophical ideas. It explored concepts like reality, free will, identity, and control through clear, accessible narrative, which is not something they really saw at the time. That's why I think it blew up a lot. The film balanced action with meaning, delivering spectacle without sacrificing the substance. The main character's journey, i.e. Neo, was from an original man to the one, which resonated because it mirrored themes of self-discovery and awakening, which combined with innovative action choreography and visual effects that were years ahead of their time. The Matrix became more than a movie, it was more like a cultural movement in the 1990s. However, to follow, there was obviously sequels. The Matrix Reloaded and Matrix Revolutions, and then obviously about 20, maybe 10 years later, we had, what was it? Oh yeah, Resurrections. They're sticking with the TMR. But both of these sequels before Resurrections expanded the universe dramatically, introducing complex lore, new characters, and larger philosophical questions. While these were ambitious stories, these sequels struggled to balance exposition with storytelling. The focus shifted away from character-driven narratives toward dense dialogue and abstract concepts, but leaving many viewers very confused rather than engaged, which is why I think the third Matrix movie gave so many people a headache, including me. I kind of just bypassed that one or zone out. But although the action sequences remained impressive, the emotional connection weakened, and the ending divided audiences by prioritizing ideas over a payoff. When these two movies came around, which is why I'm actually surprised they did a fourth one, but there was an overcomplication of mythology, and that the whole philosophical idea of the Matrix made so many people question the understanding of this whole universe, and they basically just expanded it to a point of mystery and confusion. One of the franchise's biggest problems because of its own complexity. As the Matrix universe expanded, it introduced layers of rules, programs, and metaphysical explanations that became difficult to follow. What once felt mysterious and thought-provoking began to feel inaccessible instead of inviting audiences to question reality. The films demanded homework, weakening the mass appeal, and the franchise really just slowly shifted from the philosophical science sci-fi to overly self-serious abstraction. They realized that they were going they were doing a lot with what this whole franchise, and they noticed it was doing well, and that the whole mysterious and complexity and the philosophical stuff was paying off, but they delved too deep into that, which led to a cultural shift and loss of relevance, especially when the fourth one came around. The Matrix thrived in an era when cyberpunk ideas and digital paranoia felt fresh and urgent. As technology evolved and audiences became more familiar with virtual worlds, the franchise's core concepts no longer felt as revolutionary. Other sci-fi films and franchises borrowed and refined its ideas, making the Matrix aesthetic less unique over time. What once felt groundbreaking gradually became familiar, reducing its cultural impact, which is why the reception for the next film didn't do so well. Now, the one takeaway I wanted to say is that while it was a good film, that they were good films, they didn't hit the mark with the first one, and they got too keen, which is a common mistake. And I think they sort of did well with the fourth one, but I do think this is why I'm bringing this up, is because while the fourth one is good, the fourth one did attempt to revive the franchise by leaning into the meta commentary stuff and trying shifting away, but also referring to the nostalgia and self-awareness. While the concept was bold and the execution divided audiences, some appreciated its commentary reboots and corporate filmmaking, while others felt it lacked the intensity, innovation, and clarity of the original. The film struggled to justify its own existence, leaving many questions whether The Matrix still is something that is meaningful per se. Now, this also begs the question, because these are 4 films. I wouldn't say they're necessarily a franchise, but also John Wick, I wouldn't say that's necessarily a franchise, but it's getting there. But at its core, The Matrix worked best as a singular, tightly structured story. While the world was rich, the franchise may have been stretched beyond its natural limits. The pressure to expand sequels and revive the brand ultimately just diluted which is what made it special in the first place. Instead of preserving its legacy, it just repeated to return to The Matrix with a weakened story and its just mystique. However, that is not to say that most franchises can recover, because most of them can. Can The Matrix actually recover? A future Matrix project could still be succeed, but only with a clear purpose. Like the 4th one, but it just kind of got derailed by the 2nd and 3rd. Any revival would need fresh ideas, strong character focus, and restraint. Avoiding nostalgia for nostalgia's sake, but without a meaningful reason to return, further entries risk cementing the franchise's decline rather than restoring its legacy. It also might be worth starting off with a TV show. That's what a lot of franchises are doing recently. Monsterverse are hitting us with their second Monarch of Legacy, so they noticed that it worked the first time. Even a tiny anthology and a tiny filler might be what this franchise needs to make a tiny push. Same with John Wick. But it just all depends on the way they want to go. If it's done, it's done. But let's just see. So what happened to the Matrix franchise? It wasn't one bad movie. It was ambitious without balance, complexity without clarity, and repetition without reinvention. The Matrix changed cinema forever, but not every revolution can last indefinitely. Sometimes the most powerful legacy is knowing when to stop. Which is the unfortunate truth that the same could be said for many others. But what do you think? Can Nick recover? Let me know in the comments below. But without further ado, folks, that is the end of today's video. I do hope you all enjoyed it, and if you did, please leave a like and subscribe and comment what else you would like to see on this very channel. We've got more content coming for you, so I hope you enjoy. But other than that, I hope you have an amazing day as always, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!
Yeah!